they didn't do that. What they reversed it on was prudential standing. Prudential standing is another thing. Prudential standing is this totally bogus thing that says, we, the federal judiciary, even though you have a fundamental right, right? In the First Amendment, it says, not only do it, it says, Congress shall make law, you have free exercise, free speech, free press, but it also says you have the right to petition the government for redress of grievances. And the Supreme Court says that includes going to court. You have a fundamental constitutional right to go into the federal courts and get your case heard. Right? So they infringed upon that right when they said no for prudential reasons, because this has something to do with family law, even though it had nothing to do with family law. When I brought this case, the mother was fully aware. She never said a word about it. No issue. As a matter of fact, in the complaint that I have on the pledge case, there's one of the things I write about was that my daughter, when she was 4 years old, I happened to just one day, just as I'm working on the stuff, I recite the Pledge of Allegiance to her without the words "under God." She's 4 years old. I didn't even know she had ever heard the Pledge of Allegiance before that. Okay, and immediately I said, "One nation indivisible with liberty and justice for all." She goes, "Under God." She knew that I had missed it. So the mother was right there when that happened. Right? So she was fully aware about this thing. Had nothing to do with family law, but because of subsequent events, family law came into this, and basically people don't understand. The religious right did a great job in that case. They portrayed this as a family law issue. They made it the mother against me, which had nothing to do with this case, and I think the Supreme Court bought that. So it was on prudential standing grounds, and that's the issue. So when the Supreme Court reverses on prudential standing grounds as opposed to Article 3 grounds, so on Article 3 there would have been no question. Everything the Ninth Circuit did had no meaning whatsoever because they never had the right to hear the case. But prudential standing is different, especially also since when I went to the Ninth Circuit at the beginning, I had standing. I had prudential standing. I had full legal custody of my kid. Right? So you know, I won't go into the family law issues. That's my real passion in life. But anyhow, so that's what I lost as it was in the Court of Appeals. Right? It was actually after they had gotten all the briefing, right, and everything was before them. Then I lost it, and that was for prudential reasons again, not Article 3. So that's the reason I lost it. That's why we have an issue now as to whether or not they have binding precedent. If it's binding precedent, then I win. Okay, you can't. A court of appeals cannot reverse itself unless it's done en banc, which means that all the judges get together and decide the case, or unless the Supreme Court reverses it. So if you're a three-judge panel and there is precedent, binding precedent already in the circuit, you are not allowed to say, which even if you think it's wrong, you can't say we're overruling. It's not allowed because we like the idea. You know, otherwise, you know, interpretations of laws will change all the time. None of us will know what's legal, what's not legal. Right? So we have this general idea that we don't like to change laws, even if it's wrongly decided. We say. It's better that we can have some stability in the law than to make it right, some people say. And so it's only after it gets overturned, either en banc or the Supreme Court, that this isn't binding. Okay, if in fact it's binding precedent. So again, if this Ninth Circuit, when it goes back there, agrees with the lower judge that it's binding precedent, then we don't even have to hear the case. I won't, okay, unless it gets overturned. Yes?
If the Ninth Circuit decision and the lower district court recent decision are still binding, why are schools in the Ninth Circuit still recite the old code?
Because there was a stay in the case, and so that never was revoked or anything, so they're still reciting. But that's a very good point. If in fact it's binding precedent, then everybody's violating the law right now. Yes, sir.
The Ninth Circuit has a reputation for being the most liberal circuit. Did you choose it on purpose, or just because you have?
No, I actually chose the 11th Circuit. I looked through the circuits, and I thought I did best at the 11th Circuit. It's Florida, and I was domiciled there when I brought the case. Then, for a bunch of reasons, to go into it, we moved out to California, and so I was no longer there. And actually, I lost in the 9th Circuit, in the 11th Circuit, sorry, in Florida. And I wrote them, which was really good because that was when I really had no idea what I was doing. I didn't have the slightest idea. So then, when we moved, I wrote to the 11th Circuit. While it was still on appeal, I said I'm no longer in Florida. They said, okay, well, forget it. You're not standing anymore. Threw it out, which gave me another chance. So now I had practice. I had practice. My only case. So I brought it in California. So that's why I ended up there. But that idea that the Ninth Circuit is the most liberal, I mean, yes and no. There are some liberal judges, but it's totally the luck of the draw. It's who you get in a three-judge panel. And there's arch conservatives on the Ninth Circuit too. So I was lucky. I got it. Yes, in the back.
Now that the second person has won, what state did they file in California?
Same place, all in the Sacramento area.
Right. So now, isn't the state liquid since they've won and they have to abide by what the appeals court already decided?
Well, again, it's still unstayed. No one has ever unstayed it, so no one's ever brought that issue. But
isn't it unstayed now that that person has won? It was stayed for your case.
No, he stated himself. The district court judge says, here, all right, I'm issuing a permanent injunction. You can't say the Pledge of Allegiance this way, but I'm also issuing a stay on my own ruling, so you can. That's exact, he actually put that in his opinion. He said, unless the Ninth Circuit or the Supreme Court tells us, we are staying this ruling. So that's
appeals court said?
the district court judge. As he wrote his opinion, he said, Newdow, you win. You have a permanent injunction against the school district. They can't say in God, one nation under God, but I'm staying my own ruling so they can. Okay, and let it be handled. You know, he knew, that what he does is really magisterial at this point. It's going to go to the Ninth Circuit.
But what ends the state?
What is what?
What ends the state?
Oh, the Ninth Circuit. We'll either say, and then again, and if I win in the Ninth Circuit, I'm sure they'll stay it again also, like they did last time when go to the Supreme Court if I win. So.
But the person won in the lower court, so they can't go to retail for the pledge one, right? The pledge.
No, the other side appealed.
Oh,
No,
right.
yeah, immediately, right. So that's why I say that's the bad thing. You don't want to win. Now, they're the opponents. They get that first brief and the last brief. I wish I hadn't won. I wish he hadn't said that, but he did. Yeah.
From an activist point of view, how much money and how many man hours did you put into this?
Money is borscht. It's under $10,000 for sure. That's 6 years of litigation. Time, it's a ton of time. I haven't calculated, but it's got to be over 8,000 hours, I'm sure. So it's a lot of time. I'll just so you know, having an idea of the cost of these things. When the mother tried to intervene, right now, bear in mind, she has nothing to do with this case. She was no more right to be in this case than anybody here. Anybody could have intervened. And she tried to intervene, and they denied her intervention. So she had nothing to do with this case. She, by the time before, she got Ken Starr to take over her. She didn't, of course. This is all the religious right. She didn't do anything. But the religious right got Ken Starr to take her intervention, to write an amicus brief. You can write an amicus brief, right? She got nothing to do with this case. Right? Before she got Ken Starr involved with this, she had already had a legal bill of $686,000. Right? She's got nothing to do with the case. They spent $683,000. Sorry, $683,000. So you can imagine it's probably $1 million with Ken Starr's work and all the other stuff. And this is as somebody who's not a party to the case. So it's expensive. That's why, that's the main reason I did this myself. Because I'm like yes?
Some of the conservative commentary about the case, about Judge Reinhardt, they said that every decision that he has approved has been overturned. Do you know anything about that?
I've never gone over all his decisions. He has been reversed a number of times. Everybody who talks about him says he's brilliant. The guy obviously has been right. He has a bent that's different from the Supreme Court. Remember, the Supreme Court isn't right. The Supreme Court is the Supreme Court. They're the last court. Whatever they say goes. If they say tomorrow that the earth is flat, the earth is flat in the United States, right? Even though we all know it's not. Right? They said that separate but equal was okay. For 58 years, blacks were second-class citizens because they said that's okay. It doesn't make it right. It just makes it the last word. So just because Judge Reinhardt's overturned, even if it's 9-0, doesn't mean that he's wrong and they're right. It just means that's what they decided.